to your heart. Look to the sky. Look to the sky. How can I make this place a better one for you and I? Protect our future. Protect our land. Protect our children. Give them a hand. Protect our oceans. Protect our sand. Protect our mountains. Why can't we all just understand? Aloha, kule, kuleana, hele, na keiki o ka aina, hele, na mea nui.
The Wailuku River flows down the slopes of Mount Kahalavai. Pu'ukukui atop the mountain is one of the wettest places on earth, along with Big Bog on the eastern slopes of Haleakala. Aloha, I'm Alana Kay, and this is Sustainable Aloha. Why does Maui have such abundant precipitation, and are we managing it properly? This is a topic we will go into frequently, and today we will be discussing island hydrology and why we are so fortunate and so unique. With me today is Amia Darts-Voluntad. She is an up-and-coming filmmaker who has already won honors at the Hawaii International Film Festival and the Christian Youth Film Festival with her entry called Reconnection. We will have a peek at her work and see what she has to say about the past and the future of Maui. Aloha, Amia. Mahalo for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me today.
It's my honor. So why is Maui so abundantly blessed? The answer lies in the natural design of the ecosystem. On an island such as ours, most of our fresh water comes from orographic rainfall, which is created by the natural circulation of moisture throughout the ecosystem. This is what is known as the hydrologic cycle. The balance of our water comes from weather systems that pass through the islands. To get the proper perspective, we must realize that in large cities across the mainland U.S., for the most part, water is derived from large rivers and lakes such as the 5 Great Lakes, the Mississippi and Colorado rivers, which are fed by snow and glacier melt from the northern hemisphere. For the most part, water is then piped and recycled through a network of human-made infrastructure. Here on Maui, we rely almost solely on the health of the hydrologic cycle. The height and slope of the volcanoes are critical to the creation of orographic rain, although there are many factors involved. Moisture rises from the ocean, the flora and the land, temperatures on the ground and the air determine the dew point or point of saturation where humidity can no longer be held in the gaseous form, at which point it becomes rain. The Pu'ukukui rain gauge atop Mount Kahalavai and Big Bog on the eastern slopes of Haleakala are consistently in the top wettest spots on the planet because of these geographical features. The Hawaiian Islands differ from each other with regard to precipitation depending on their geographical makeup. Designed by nature over a period of roughly 1 million years, our hydrology is held in delicate balance by factors both known and unknown. Any interference in the system naturally has a negative impact on its sustainability, and especially since the Industrial Revolution of the late 1800s, there has been plenty damage. It seems to me that the way nature created the waters here was as close to miraculous and perfect as it could possibly be. Is it possible to restore this delicate balance before it's too late? Amia's film entry gives us insight into the imagination of a young mind that had nothing to do with the current demise. Let's have a look at the clip.
Sometimes I wish I could go back in time. I wish I could see what life was like before it all changed. I've heard stories of what things were like in the past. If I could go back in time just to see.
I too have often pondered what it was like before people got here. And when I saw the clip of that film a while ago, I thought, oh my God, I have to have you on my show. What was what inspired you and shaped this video?
Yeah, so the inspiration for it was really my own questioning. And I believe that God created all of creation, including humans, to be in harmony with each other and to truly work together. And we've just gotten so far from that when you see the entry of greed, of selfishness, vanity, and you just see this disconnect as humans from not only the land and creation, but who we are, because we are part of creation. And I was really just longing to see that and to get back to that. Like, what was it like when we were connected with the land? What was it like when it wasn't destructive, the things we were doing, but we were living in harmony with creation? And really also that question of, well, how do we get back to that?
Yeah, how do we get back to that? Right, thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm really of the same thinking. I use the word harmony a lot, even in the things that I write about here and other places. And what I think is really neat is that there's different ways to relay messages and thoughts to people. And I use a lot of words. I write books, and I have a magazine related to sustainable aloha as well, and writing these scripts for the show. So I'm using words and I'm using logic, although I have learned how to paint a picture, you know, and I know how to kind of package thoughts so that people understand it and so on. But what I really like about your video is that you have completely used the zone of feeling to relay. And then the feeling comes through in the colors and your choice of words. And I like how you tied the spiritual aspects in there. And right, I don't believe that unless we have that connection as humans, we don't have the connection to each other and the connection to the land. We've really disconnected. It's really become a consumer society, and every person for himself. And can we get back to that? And that's really my dream. And so I'm glad you asked the same question, you know, wherever two or more of you are gathered. So I was curious, though, because you are very young. I don't like to talk age too much, you know, but you are homeschooled.
Yes.
And I like that, too, because that allows for freedom and creative expression. And also, I wanted to know if you were self-taught. Did you learn gradually? Did you take a class? Did your parents teach you? Did you learn by YouTube or lynda.com? Or how did you learn how to do all the technical things that you do?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much self-taught. Neither of my parents have any experience in film. I took part in a few programs my first couple of years filmmaking. And really, yeah, I would read countless books, YouTube. Whenever I had a question, I would just have to dig to find an answer to that question. And a lot of it was trial and error. A lot of my first couple of short films were not at the level that I wanted it to be at, but it was just continuously picking up the camera, continuously writing. So yeah, I'm completely self-taught in that way, and it has offered me the freedom too, in the sense of I'm able to see what needs correction and grow in that at my own pace, which I feel like is really valuable.
Yeah. Instead of learning to just pass a test or something, you're actually applying it. And everybody needs to listen to what she just said, because I am also minorly successful with a lot of things that I've created, and people say, oh, you're so talented, and I go, well, no, it's not like I'm talented and you aren't. It's just that you do have to go through the trial and error, and you have to be willing to make mistakes and pick up the pieces and just put that behind you, and then learn from your mistakes and know what areas you need to work on and polish. And that was really interesting. I'm glad you shared that, because people need to, you know, everybody's got that creative in them, but it's a matter of nurturing it and developing it. So when is this going to be, you're not sure which film festivals, did you tell me, or you know which film festivals it's going to be premiering in this fall?
Yeah, I have to wait to hear back from some of the festivals. And because of the rules, I can't release it publicly yet on my YouTube channel.
That's why we only had a little,
Yeah, so I'm hoping by late summer, early fall, I can have it released to the public on my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll have it on my website. I'll put the link on my website. So for people who want to view the full video when it comes out, it really is nice. You can watch it over and over, and you'll never get tired of it. I can put the link on my website because I really like it. So do you plan to create more videos like this, or is this probably a standalone thing?
I do. I want to create more, each diving into different aspects of creation. So
creation, tying it into creation.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like the spiritual aspect. I consider myself a Christian mystic, so I go along with that wording. I just, you know, it's interesting how those things all seem to work together. The ancient Hawaiians were very spiritual too, and that was a big part of their life. Everything had spiritual connotations. So, yeah. So let me see. So the other thing I was wondering about is, were you planning on, being that you're passionate about, and you might not know the answer to that right now, are you planning on doing any activism or using any of your filmmaking abilities for activism?
Yeah, so to be honest, I see my filmmaking as a form of activism.
Yeah, right.
And I see it as a very powerful tool of activism, because it's one that enters into your heart, and you can really experience. It's not just someone telling you what's going on, what's happening, why you should care. It's like, I feel like it almost, even if you don't realize it, it makes you care.
It opens you up to the place inside of you that realizes it. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if you're, like any of your peers in your age group or any of your social circles, are they interested in activism, and how do you, I guess it's a two-part question because they kind of work together. I've often heard people, especially young people, say, oh, it's not even, there's no use, everything's already so messed up. Or just what can one person do? You know, I'm just wondering what the mood is in the circles that you socialize in.
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a mixture. I have groups who are very much so, it doesn't matter, there's nothing we can do. And then I have groups who are very much so, yes, let's do something, like we gotta do something.
But maybe they don't know what.
Yeah, and I was like, it's very much so sometimes, what do you do exactly?
That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that people know what to do.
Yeah.
So it all works together, that's one of the reasons and when I did my intro show, I talked about everybody working together, because everybody brings different tool sets and perspectives and things and skills to the table, and so often those work together really well, often by surprise. You know, it's like, oh, you got that, I got this, and we all have the ingredients to really pull off a real multifaceted, full-bodied thing. I don't know if that's a technical official term. Yeah, so I mean, that was what I'm really proud of your work, and I can't wait to see more of it. And let's see, maybe we'll have you on in the future too if you want to talk about some of the subjects that I talk about. Well, thank you for being here today with me, Amia.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. I feel honored to have you here. We'll definitely have you back to talk about more of these subjects and see some more of your work as you progress. Well, with such an abundant system, how did we get to the point where we're constantly litigating over water and experiencing drought warnings? Ideally, the legislative and physical infrastructure need to be working in harmony, there's that word harmony, with the natural systems. It stands to reason because the system was abundantly sustainable before we got here. Originally, the vegetation was quite different. We brought in a lot of invasive species, and silversword adorned the top of Haleakala. 90 perennial streams glistened and teemed with life. There were abundant wetlands and springs. The original Polynesian travelers who established life on Maui established moku, or the 12 land divisions, which were managed by a family or chief. The system of sustainability these settlers used was closely tied to the natural systems. These moku were further divided into ahupua'a. Each ahupua'a went from Mauka to Makai, or mountain to sea, providing the inhabitants with all of the resources they needed for life. The divisions were largely delineated by the streams, and the Konohiki used their authority and wisdom to approve stream diversions based on need and sustainability of the ecosystem. During the Industrial Revolution and advent of large commercial farms on Maui, the water and diversions were hoarded by the powerful and wealthy for their own means. Nobody seemed to be in charge. And in 1987, the Hawaii State Water Code, Chapter 174C, was established along with the Water Commission. Implicit in the legislation, water was established to be a public trust, and studies such as the Hawaii Stream Flow Assessment, in-stream flow standards, and water use and development plans for each county were to be created. The work has begun but seems to be dragging along with much, much more to be accomplished. I need to mention, however, that there are several environmental groups and watershed restoration initiatives working on this issue as we speak. I truly appreciate their work and dedication. The question remains, are we really managing all of the available information regarding in-stream flow standards and sustainable yields of aquifers in the best way possible? Are the departments and government working sufficiently together toward a sustainable future? Upon close examination, my first inclination is to say that no, we are not. For instance, in 2003, management of the Iao Aquifer was taken over by the state because the county was not managing it properly. Brackish wells in the Iao Aquifer sector and coning of salt water into the freshwater lens resulted from overpumping and neglect of the ecosystem. This is serious because the Iao is the aquifer sector that Mauians rely on most heavily. The aquifer remains a point of contention between both county and state government bodies today, and it appears that the aquifer is trapped in this void. The county places most of its focus on finding new sources of water instead of rehabilitating that which has been damaged, and the Water Commission considers the current status of the aquifer to be the new status quo and seems pretty content as long as they don't observe further demise. Are we going to be happy with the new status quo, or is it wise to reimagine the entire system and take care of it as nature designed it? It takes time and patience, but we should at least consider moving in that direction. We will take a more in-depth look in our next episode of Sustainable Aloha when we discuss integrated water resource management. In the meantime, let's imagine a future where we work in harmony with the natural environment. As always, please check out the Sustainable Aloha website at sustainablealoha.org for more information. Please contact me if you're interested in being a guest on this show in the future. Aloha.
i malu e hoe e holu mai ana o ki apua i kona mau ka huo